Mon rapport à McTiernan, c'est simplement le rapport à celui qui a été pour moi le plus grand cinéaste de genre américain des années 80. Ni plus ni moins.
Triple actualité pour le réalisateur John McTiernan ces jours-ci.
Quand on voit le cinéma américain aujourd'hui, on se dit il a manqué à Hollywood, il nous a manqué. Et merci d'accueillir chaleureusement John McTiernan.
Je veux dire, ce type, il a créé le moule absolu du cinéma d'action des années 90, conjointement à John Woo. Donc je veux dire que le cinéma d'action tel qu'on le connaît aujourd'hui, il descend de John Woo et de John McTiernan.
Now, do you only want to talk about movies? What do you want to talk about?
I want you to talk about movies, only about movies. If it's okay with you.
En premier lieu, le réalisateur de Predator vient de connaître enfin la reconnaissance qu'il mérite avec une rétrospective à la Cinémathèque française. Ensuite, l'un des chefs-d'œuvre de McTie, Piège de cristal, ressort ce mois-ci un peu partout en France et en 4K s'il vous plaît, grâce au distributeur Splendor Film.
Piège de cristal, c'est quand même juste un orgasme cinématographique. C'est un truc faramineux, c'est un film sensoriel et en même temps une leçon de cinéma à chaque plan, à chaque cut de montage, tout est parfait.
Croyez-nous, même si vous aviez eu la chance de découvrir ce film en salle lors de sa sortie en 1988, vous n'avez jamais vu Piège de cristal comme ça.
Bruce Willis, Die Hard.
Enfin, Pathé ressort, malheureusement uniquement en DVD, le premier film de McTiernan, l'étonnant Nomads.
La maison des satires. What?
Oh my God, we'll have Pierce Brosnan in...
You speak French.
It's okay. It doesn't. To a Frenchman, it doesn't seem ridiculous.
The French accent of Pierce Brosnan, it's a problem. It's a little bit of a problem, but the movie is great, you know.
Okay.
Nomads est une œuvre à part dans la filmographie de McTie. Déjà parce que c'est l'unique scénario qu'il signe en solo, même s'il a par la suite réécrit tous ses films.
It's very easy to rewrite something. It's very hard to face the empty page alone.
You enjoy it?
No, that's why I've never done it. I'm not bad at it. Fairly good at it, but I hate it. It's so hard. And also, you know, I don't smoke anymore. I used to enjoy sitting down with a cigarette. You know, it was almost fun. So it's really, really hard to sit down at a word processor when you can't even smoke.
Ce premier long métrage est également une pure œuvre fantastique, genre qu'il n'a plus jamais revisité ensuite, entièrement basé sur le ressenti du cinéaste vis-à-vis de Los Angeles.
That was my impression of going to California. That it wasn't real at all. It was like this endless blank desert, much as the metaphor I use that the Arctic is a desert, that the ice is a desert, and that many of the people you meet on the ice are not real, which was sort of what I felt about Los Angeles. And I put it in the guise of a French intellectual, because we think that the French intellectuals are the best intellectuals, that they're the most rigorous.
Néanmoins, Nomads contient déjà quelques figures de style très identifiables du réalisateur. Il y a par exemple ce plan, annonciateur de la mort d'Hans Gruber dans Piège de cristal.
Oh, I did the exact same shot in Die Hard, of course.
Was it a conscious thing? What did you do with this shot?
Of course it was conscious. I was stealing from myself. What do you think? You think I didn't remember that I'd already done it? Come on.
Mais il y a surtout déjà dans Nomads un incroyable sens de l'espace, et ce jeu si particulier sur les parasites optiques qui prendra toute son ampleur quand le réalisateur commencera à tourner ses films en cinémascope.
Well, it just tells you that it's real. This is recorded rather than presented. This is not presented to you as an artifice, as a play. This is something that's happening, and a camera is watching it. The camera actively was the storyteller, that there was a storyteller there. Because the storyteller's attitude can tell the audience so much about how they're supposed to understand what they see. What's the meaning, what's the nuance of what they see? The narrator tells them that, he signals that. And his attitude is almost as important as the story. If you can do it in a book, why can't you do it on film? So I've tried to learn to do it on film, that's all.
On souhaite maintenant de tout cœur que les argentiers du grand écran vont permettre à McTie de retourner très vite sur un plateau de cinéma. Le réalisateur espère notamment donner une suite à l'un de ses films préférés, Thomas Crown.
Oh, yes.
Oh, I just had much more fun making it. I like it. It's very simple. It seems to be very small, and yet it's Well, it's also, I mean, it's the only love story I've ever had the chance to make, so I treasure it for that.
What do you want to tell with this sequel?
Well, it's another love story. It's an older man, and he's not stealing art. Someone else has stolen the art. And in a way, he's trying to see that it gets back to where it should go. Because the art is actually a national treasure.
Mais loin de se reposer sur sa gloire passée, McTiernan se projette déjà dans le futur en réfléchissant activement au cinéma de demain.
This is technical. You really want to go into it?
Yes, go.
All right. There is a social agreement that what we see from lenses is an accurate depiction of the world. And it's not true. We have an enormous technical kludge in everything we do because all of the film plane, or the sensor, the computer sensor, the chip in all of our cameras is flat. Our eyes, the receiver, the chip, the film in our eyes is spherical. I would like to really do a test. I want to use 3 little chips times 7, like 21 cameras out of cell phones, all locked together, and have the computer build an image out of it. So it'd be somewhat like the eye of a fly, and I'd like to see what that looks like. I'd deeply like to see what that looks like.
Bref, parions que pour McTee, le meilleur reste à venir.